All right, it's Tuesday, May 21st, 10 a.m., actually 10:02. We're going to call the Dudley Economic Development Committee meeting to order. The first order of business is the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I did hear from Todd and Joanne. They will not be attending the meeting, but we do have a quorum, so we can go right into the business. First agenda item is the acceptance of the minutes from April 16th. Don pointed out that on the last page, town planner update, where it says Don is looking to complete an application for a block grant. That should actually be worded as the Municipal Vulnerability and Preparedness Grant, right?
There's no end. MVP,
Oh.
Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness.
Okay, Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness, so the MVP grant. All right, I'll make those changes. Does anybody have any other corrections, additions to the minutes? Ryan, you did a great job. We really appreciate you stepping up and doing the minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good meeting to watch.
All right, so the chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes with the change. All right, PJ's made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
There's another little thing, I'm not sure if you put, this isn't really nothing to do with the minutes per se, but put www.dudley.gov. Shouldn't that be dudleyma.gov?
Yep. Yeah, it's minor. And with the town website, you don't even need the www, because it automatically redirects to the dudleyma.gov. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, in the private sector, you can buy these domain extensions, they're called .com, .biz, all that stuff, $4.95, $7.95 on the renewals. Federal government charges Dudley $450 a year for the .gov extension. And you have to get it through the government, through the GSA.
I wonder if that's why some towns use a .com extension instead.
Yeah, we actually own the domain townofdudley.com, but we've, the .gov, but also having the .gov leads to an amazing number of attacks. On average, on a given day here, we have about 450 attempted incursion attempts from the Chinese government into our web servers. Wow. Yeah, crazy. So, next thing on the agenda, EDC vacancy. Everybody saw the appointment and then the resignation. The town clerk had actually recommended that all the Board of Selectmen need to do is rescind their vote, and I believe that's what's going to happen. So we'll have the vacancy open again. So we actually have someone, Brian, why don't you come up to the mic? Identify yourself, who might have an interest.
My name is Brian Kinesny. I'm a resident of Dudley, and I own a small business called Five Beans Kit. The last time I was here was in January to talk about my small business, and today I was going to be here to talk about that business as well, but I'm interested in this opening as well. I have a business that everybody needs that has a business. I'm a web developer, I'm a systems guy, I'm a marketing guy, I'm an infrastructure support guy, I'm a tech guy. I started Five Beans Kit a few months back. Now I'm going full bore. I've got a couple other things that I'm doing with Five Beans Kit with this company, and one of them is coming to talk to the town hall because I'd like to be a resource to small businesses in town. And you guys know everybody. I'm knocking on doors, and not everybody likes when somebody knocks on doors. I went to Webster, and I'll have another meeting with them again next week. I've been at 2 with them so far, and they love the idea that I want to be a resource for the town, and I want to get in front of all the businesses, and they're going to have a seminar for me. And I'd like it if Dudley would have a seminar too, if they could, if we could. I was directed to this Economic Development Committee. We've got lack of foot traffic in areas around town. We've got a lack of foot traffic in Webster. Main Street's a ghost town in both towns, I think. Smart Plaza's empty. There's other plazas that are empty, not full plazas in Webster, but there's storefronts that are empty. They don't get traffic. So I've been walking around for 2 weeks, knocking on businesses' doors, asking them if they'd be receptive to a plan where if a patron bought something from you, you could give that patron a sheet with coupons on it that they could take to local businesses that they might not normally visit. That business has to be in on it too. Let's say anything automotive. You go get an oil change at anything automotive, and Ryan staples an invoice to your, a coupon sheet to your invoice that has coupons from a florist on it, from a pizza place on it, or a package store, or whatever. Maybe you'd go to those businesses, maybe you wouldn't, but the key is they're getting foot traffic in the door now. Webster loved it. His name is Doug. He wants to go door to door with me in Webster. He thinks this is a great plan. I think it's a great plan too. It's a great plan to get foot traffic in businesses that normally don't get that foot traffic. That's one of the things I'm doing. I have a kit that services small business for $500, turnkey, out the door, everything they need to be online to represent a small business and start to make money. Nobody touches that kit. I've been doing this about 20 years. I did it because I had to. I had sales and marketing and management experience before we had kids. And then we had kids, and we had no solution. And my wife didn't want any part of staying home and who's gonna make who do anything. I worked, she worked. There was an event, I came home, I had to give my career up to raise my babies, but I'm not gonna do anything. So I learned all this stuff, took sales, took business. I developed a company. It went very well. It was a website, I put a store online, I sold trinkets, and it was successful. People called me, can you do this for me? I don't know, maybe. Yes, I could. I learned HTML, the languages of the web, I started to make websites, people called me. So on and off for about 20 years, except the last 4, and I'm back in right now, that's what I did. Some of my stuff became very popular, some of my clients became very successful because I'm a guy from the country, I don't mess around. Everything that comes out of my mouth, I support. All the services I say I can do, I do. I don't farm out my stuff, and I don't nickel and dime my customers. I think people can respect that and appreciate that. I have clients tell me all the time, I've heard this before. I know, I've been doing this a while, I know you've heard this before. And I address something that shocks them. Hey, you can keep your data for the same price. You can have this, because I'm sitting there doing it anyway, for the same price. I don't lose money, you gain a service, everybody wins. That's why I'm walking around main streets, trying to get people involved in my little coupon program. It's $35, it's pretty cheap what they get, to get foot traffic in their door that they wouldn't normally get. I'm all for business. I like business. It's empirically important to me to see. I was really excited when I learned that I could not own Google's algorithm per se, but that's the monster on the web that you have to appease if you want to be found on the web. Google, and they run an algorithm to decide what they're going to index about you and how they'll index it. And the way that those engineers were thinking, I just fit into place, so people started to call me, and it's been pretty successful. Right now, I'm for real. Instead of operating out of my house, those years going on word of mouth, now I'm putting it all in. Everything's in. Every dime I make goes back into my business. Every effort I make during the day is this business. I like business. But I like Dudley, too, because it's rural, and I like where I live. Nobody goes by my house at 3 in the morning blaring anything. I don't miss the city. I like Dudley the way it is.
So are you a home-based business here in Dudley?
Yes.
Okay,
Until I can afford a storefront.
yeah.
But Smart Plaza's been empty a long time. Somebody needs to be in there. I know they just want to sell the building instead of leasing it. That's not my business, but I'd really like to see somebody in there. some small business. And I was coming to local town halls. I went to Oxford too, and I'll have a meeting with that town administrator soon, because like I said, you guys know everybody. Businesses have to register, businesses pay taxes, everybody knows each other from Price Chopper, from going to Park and Shop. Everybody knows everybody. Small communities are tight. The New England market for sales is so tight, it's hard to break into. I don't want to waste my time spending all my money on gas and phone calls. People are going to hang up on me anyway. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a hustler. I just think I have a great idea. I think it's worked in the past. I think clients need what I have. And I think Dudley and Webster, maybe Thompson, I haven't been down the road much, needs foot traffic. And I think besides my coupon plan and besides what I do as a service, I want to be more involved in the community around me. I want to help with ideas to create business. I like to, when I'm called on in a business, I like to assess the way they do business to save them money, to save them time. I like to prevent them from spending money they only think they have on the next greatest thing, because it's not going to be the next greatest thing. It doesn't work any better than a pen and a piece of paper a lot of times. I can keep my prices down. I look for efficiency that way. I look for efficiency in government. I look for efficiency in everything. So that's my spiel about what I'm doing. But I'm very serious about becoming involved in a local community. Everybody's starting to know me now. Nobody's chasing me away with a broom yet, which is nice. And I really appreciate it. Doug, his name is Doug, he's the town administrator in Webster. He's a young guy and he's really aggressive and go get it. He told me he'd walk door to door with me. Twice, on 2 separate occasions, in 2 meetings, he said he would do that. That's a guy I want to work with because he cares about his town. When I told him I wanted to get in front of businesses, just to tell them what they're missing or to tell them what they can have for something that's not priced at what they think it is, or to tell them some options that they think they don't have. My business is weird. It's convoluted. If any of you have businesses, if any of you have had to get a web service or a website online, and if you've been responsible for that, I can guarantee you've been nickel and dime. I can guarantee they've made you wait, and they've maybe even given you something you can't understand when they walk out the door, when they've taken your money and delivered you a website, which in my kit is only the first part. There's nothing worse than having a website nobody can find. But all the clients I talk to say, Wix doesn't give me control, Squarespace is a joke. I know all this. I know all of it. I don't want to beat them up and argue with my clients and say, well, you were suckered. That's not what I want to do. When they tell me, I have a solution, you can have this. And it's done, and you can update it. And that's just the site part. All the other stuff is naturally evolutionary as part of the kit, 6 months or a year. That's refreshing and new. It's the same sort of services that have been out there a long time, but nobody said, hey, here's a kit, all inclusive, that works. And we build it up as we go over 6 months or a year. And that one $500 package kit, that doesn't get evolved. That's everything you need, one time, 6 months of email support from me. I'm not gonna leave you hanging, because I wanna see you in Park and Shop, and I want you to be happy. Email links to me, that kind of thing. But it's custom, and I walk you through it. I train you as well. Information's free to me. I went to school. I was a teacher. I was a medic in the Army. I've done interesting things. I've done pretty mundane and rudimentary things, like all of us, you know. But I think now, really, I'm in this full bore now for the rest of my life. My kids are big. They don't need me anymore, so they say. They'll talk to me when they do. I welcome that. But I'm needed less with them. I think I'm needed more in the community with the services that I can bring. I think maybe I can help out this committee as well. I've watched some of your videos. I've seen a few of them. I know what you've been up against in this town. I know what you've been trying to do. I know the 5-year plan that took a little while to develop. I know how committees work and how people work. I'm a psychology, philosophy, science guy, really. I want to stop talking because I've said a lot.
That's right. That's
sure you might
why
have
they call them
something to
open
say.
forums.
I'm no stranger to speaking in public. That's why I kind of want a seminar where, because really small businesses, they don't really have a lot of places to turn. You think they do, because the internet's there and it's been there a long time. But the internet needs a guide map. You need to get through this, this, and this to get to what you really need to understand. 15, 18 years ago, the internet was pretty good. Well, it was commerce starting and all that, but it was still pretty good. You could still find really what you wanted. I, as a small business owner in this town, I don't really seek help. If I can do it, you know, I can do it. But I don't know if I have any resources in this town. I've spoken to other small business owners, even in Worcester. I used to live in Worcester. They have a few more resources that are well known, you know, in a bigger city like Worcester. But you guys have formed this committee to get stuff done, economic development in this town, and keep it the way it is. Bring some business in, but keep the rural community that it is. That sparked with me. That's what I like. I'm on Dresser Hill. I love it there. I've always wanted to live there since I played baseball. When we went to Dresser Hill for ice cream, every pickup truck was full of kids. Everybody remembers. That was it. This is nostalgic to me. This is important to me.
Are you familiar with the Webster Dudley Business Alliance?
Barely.
All right,
I started meeting people the last 2 weeks.
All right. I mean, Mark's you're an officer on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great local business organization. It's as local as you get.
Chamber of Commerce. Webster Dudley Oxford Chamber of Commerce, so it's another good resource for you.
I'm not always a big fan of the chambers. I feel like I've networked before. I feel like you pay $200-300 a year for 4 times to have coffee with somebody. That's kind of what I feel about the chambers. I think it's a great idea. I really do. And I know people benefit from being a member of the chamber. But as a guy starting out, I'm not spending $300 on anything that's not making me money right away.
Yeah, it's all in what you put into it, right? So,
I think, yeah.
you know, obviously, all the things that you were just talking about are exactly what the Webster Dudley Business Alliance and the Chamber of Commerce are all about. So, you got to invest to make money, right? So, I've been involved for 10 years. I've got a personal business as well, and it wouldn't be where it is without that. So, at some point, you just have to, I mean, knocking on doors is a good thing, but, you know, I think that there's a lot of different ways to do business. So, that would be certainly my recommendation. I'll give you my card before we leave if you want, and we can chat about that. But, you know, you've got a lot of energy, and that's important. That's what's going to help you, you know, thrive in your business, obviously. Heard a lot about the business. You have obviously some interest in becoming or filling the seat in the economic development. Is that what I'm hearing? Or
Yes,
what do you know about us?
excited to-
What sort of contribution you think you could make to the group?
That energy you spoke of, I'm tireless.
The what?
Energy
Yeah.
you just spoke of. I'm tireless.
Okay,
I'm
good.
all in to what I do, and what comes out of my mouth I can support. And I think that's important on committees as
Yep.
well as in a business.
Absolutely.
I have my small business. I've been involved in teaching, education, and city government a little bit. When I lived in Worcester, I went to plenty of town meetings, and I affected change a few times, just in my little neighborhood.
Mhm.
Street signs, road bumps, cop details, that kind of stuff. They wanted to redo a park because some kids had grown, but there are more kids. People kind of forget. So I like to become involved. The first time I was involved with civic government was when I came back from the military and they moved the bridge I used to hang out on. And I learned about eminent domain and rights of ways on bridges and private property and that kind of thing. And it became very interesting to me to learn more about my government and how towns work and how everything works. And again, this is not just a selfish thing that I'm doing here. I know you mentioned Small Business Alliance. I know all that. I still would like to work with an entity at City Hall to be a resource in this small community for my services. I like the idea that Economic Development Committee has a chair available. I think I'd like to become part of this Economic Development Committee, not just for personal reasons, but to share knowledge and maybe do some good in the community besides just my selfish needs. Yes, of course. I'm not adverse to the Small Business
Yeah.
Alliance at all. Not at all, but
Yeah,
there
so
are
as far as
lots
as far as your business goes, that's, you know, those things that we had mentioned are good, but as far as the Economic Development Committee, if you're looking to join the this is me speaking, not necessarily the board, but if you're looking to join the Economic Development Committee to develop your business, I think that's the wrong venue.
No, that wouldn't be, no.
Okay.
Business
That's
is
kind of
the
what I was
sideline.
hearing, but
Well, I
maybe
might have worded
I
it
heard it
wrong,
wrong.
because it sounds like conflict of interest. No, I don't want to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
something like that. That's the town commitment, and then there's business
Yeah.
commitment.
None of us on the board have an agenda, and that's really what makes the board a good board. Many of us have been on a number of boards in the town of Dudley over the course of the many, many years. And, you know, what makes a good board member is someone who comes and has kind of a blank slate and has the town's best interests at heart. And that's kind of who we're looking for to fill this spot.
I think you heard that I want to use that method to increase my own bottom line. That's not what I want to do. I kind of said that wrong, maybe. I came off a little incorrectly. There's personal business, sure, and then there's community business.
Mhm.
And I like the idea of community business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I would want to fill that chair.
I mean, there's no doubt that, you know, being on the board, you'll meet people and there's networking and all that, and that will help you develop, you know, your business, our businesses, and, you know, so that's the good thing. But obviously, the underlying, you know, reason we're here is to make sure that, you know, we can continue to develop the town in the direction that the townspeople want it to be developed in, so. Did you attend the town meeting last night?
No, I didn't know there was a town meeting last night. I probably
Yeah, there were
should
only
have.
59 of us there. A town of 11,000 or so.
It's not a bad turnout, right?
Yeah.
I came to a few, there were less. There were less than that. Even in Worcester, when I went to some, there weren't really a lot of people at the meetings. I think when people see that it's something personal to them, they're gonna make an effort to come, or if it's personal to something they're related with, they'll make an effort to come. I was kind of bogged yesterday. I had a lot of stuff to do.
I'll open it up. You know, Brian, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask
No,
him, or-
I think, you know, your sincerity and interest and rolling up your sleeves and been through it, been there, done that, and growing small business in town is exactly what we're trying to accomplish here. And I think, you know, the overall 5-year plan is helping to create that environment so that small businesses and businesses in general can grow. So, it's an exciting time, you know, to be a part of Dudley, because I really believe it is a, you know, a renaissance effort to reinvent and reutilize some of the existing assets that we have in town. And, you know, we need people with energy and ideas, and showing up and participating. You know, we only do this once a month. Hopefully, you know, if you so come on board, you know, this is a once a month thing. Hopefully you can, you know, you can accomplish that and get here every month and participate and contribute. And it sounds like, you know, that's where you're coming from. You're ready to go. And I appreciate the, you know, the explanation and the background. It's, I learned a heck of a lot more from you in 15 minutes than, you know, some other people that come to sit and present themselves, you know, so you did a nice job, and I appreciate your candor.
If the town wins, everybody wins. And thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
PJ?
Yeah, I echo the same. I appreciate the grit and determination, honestly, like,
Yeah.
enthusiasm, I think, is gonna take us far. We've been generating some good ideas, and, you know, government only moves so fast anyway, but to have a little extra boost of enthusiasm, and determination, I think will get us a lot further than we think, so.
Some of my own personal comments. I echo what Mark said a little earlier, you know. Absolutely, you know, agree with him. you got to invest. You know, the 3 years that I've been on this board, I can't recall a single time when any board member actually mentioned their business and what they owned or who they were affiliated with. Now, sometimes in conversation, when it came up, when we needed a resource to get an update on a particular economic situation, we'd go to the people that we know were in the industry and ask, okay, what's going on in the industry? And I think that just has to do with the lack of formal experience or training, because you haven't really been involved with any commissions or quasi-public agencies, right, or actually served on a government board, right? So that's all right. I mean, that's how we all learn, right? And we got to start somewhere. Love the enthusiasm, you know. I mean, you definitely have a lot of energy. I don't know how many cups of coffee you drink in the morning. But 3, all right.
Yeah, but I start at 4.
Okay.
When I get any younger, that's how I look at it. Every second is an opportunity. Every second you don't take, it's wasted, you don't get back.
Yeah, the big thing, you know, with this board is, it really is a public, you know, there's like public officials and there's public servants. This is a public servant board. You know, a lot of businesses in the local community have exactly the issues that you talked about. And so my question to you is, you know, are you able to help and coach and guide them without trying to have them sign with your business?
Information is free.
Because, you know, there's a lot of laws on the books when it comes to open meetings and ethics and conflicts of interest. And a lot of the stuff you see, you're going to have to be prepared to do for free to help people so that you don't have to have a conflict or file these forms with the ethics commissions. I mean, you can't use this position. Let's just say you have a local business who comes before the board and says, hey, you know, my business is really doing great, but I really need to build my online presence and I really need to increase my traffic. You as a member of the board are not going to be able to solicit them for business because they have business before the board. They came here before the board looking for advice. And so are you, and I'm not going to ask you to make that decision today. What I'd really like you to do is think about it over the next week or two. And at the next meeting, what I would ask is that the board entertain, you know, whether or not, right after you had a chance to think about, do you want to serve, do you understand like the state's conflict of interest laws and the ethics laws? Are you prepared to do that personal sacrifice? Because that's what it is. It's a sacrifice.
I'll tell you 2 things
Sure.
about me. I lost a stripe in the military because I didn't do 1 sit-up. When you do the PT test, you have to pass the PT test. 1 sit-up. I lost a stripe. I didn't write down that I did that extra sit-up. Everybody, including my sergeant, said, write down that you did that extra sit-up. The only thing in the world I have is integrity. The other thing, part of the reason I'm divorced, is because during the 2000s, we were still living in Worcester. I was a Linux systems guy. We were doing okay. I was also a teacher. I used to get computers from the Worcester School Department, and I'm not trying to brag, I'm just trying to make a point where you don't have to worry about my ethics or what comes first with me. I got hundreds of computers from the Worcester School Department, and I'd fix them up with Linux because I was a Linux kind of zealot, you know. I'm not a fan of Windows, although I used to support it. I was an NT systems administrator. I'd fix these things up with Linux, and I'd give them away to the community. To get in the door to families was just here, you can have a computer. I spent hours sometimes in houses not making any money. I also ran my business at this time as well, where I was making websites and I was doing stuff for people, and I fixed computers too as well. But there were a lot of people that had lots of kids with no shoes on. What am I gonna do? My rate was $125 an hour. I left for supper. People want to pay, and I want people to feel comfortable with doing business with me. If you want to compensate me, fine, but I'm not charging you. I've been here 2-3 hours. I'm not charging you $200, $300, $400. Supper. I'm divorced because I got yelled at a lot, because I'd come home without a few $100s. I always made money, but if they needed it more than I do, what am I gonna do? I had kids. I'm not gonna go on a long story about all that. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been homeless before in Santa Rosa, California. I know what it's like to not want something or just get by with what you need. Yes, I have a business, and yes, I wanna make money, but I fully understand what this is. This is a community, this is government.
Yeah,
I
and
understand ethics involved. I understand I can't take your business because I represent a broader spectrum of your market. Yeah, I understand that completely. And again, I kind of worded it wrong earlier in here. You know what I was trying to do? I was trying to impress you. Here's a guy that's got a business. That's what I was trying to do. Impress you with my savvy.
and
That's all I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think it backfired a little bit, because I think you're looking at me like I have fangs now.
no,
And I'm
no,
out for
no,
blood, and I just
no,
want
no,
to
not
take
at all.
money and be, oh yeah, you come see us, and oh, by the way, sign up with me. Go see Insation. He moved into bigger digs. He does kind of what I do. Not as well, because I scare him, but he does what I do. Mass web designers around here too.
Yeah, and again, you know, the point is, you know, not in any way to question the ethics or integrity or anything like that.
Just so he knows, right?
Yeah. We're trying to encourage people that have never volunteered to volunteer. And I think the big thing that people have to understand is that when you join a board, it's not like joining the Rotary Club or the Chamber of Commerce or something like that. I mean, there's a whole set of, actually one of the requirements is, you know, you have to take an ethics test and a certification, and then there's a conflict of interest course that the Secretary of State puts on that you got to do. And it's because of the, I don't know, fiduciary, even though it's not, it's that whole process of transparency. And some people, once they start getting into it, aren't really aware of all the state laws and what's involved. And so all I'm saying is, you want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. The resignation that we have, the person just didn't realize the intensity of the scrutiny of being a public official. All right? I mean, and that's what you're going to have here, being on a board like this. Your background is perfect for the board, right? I mean, it's a technology-oriented world. There's a hole on the committee that can be filled with that kind of experience and expertise. Your willingness to step up, right? If you have an idea, at the end of the day, the only one who's going to get that idea done or executed is yourself. I mean, you seem to have that initiative to do that. That's a tremendous asset to the board. And the only reason why I bring it up is I want you to be mentally prepared and personally prepared to understand the responsibility and obligation that you'd be committing to for 3 years. That's it.
My father, I know what that's all about. Responsibility and commitment.
All right.
I'm in. I'm sitting here. I'm in.
All right.
I'm all in. I would very much like to be considered for the seat on this board.
All right. So then what we'll do is, there's two ways we can go. One is to, put it on the next agenda, and then schedule it for a vote. Or someone can make a motion now if someone would like to do that. So my personal suggestion, because I'd really like you to go to that Secretary of State's website, I can even send you the link if I have your,
Sure.
is just truly understand what you're getting yourself into. There's nothing more rewarding than serving your fellow man. In the end, I've always been a big believer that people do business with people they know, they trust, and they like. You hit those three things, you'll be successful in life. You seem to be a person of ideas. The board needs ideas. So let's put you on the next agenda. So it's the third Tuesday in June. All right? And in the meantime, if you have an actual resume that you can shoot over, and I'll make sure everybody gets it, that'd be perfect.
A general delivery mailbox in here, or
Oh,
to
no,
somebody?
you can send it to me, and then I'll send it, to the board, so I'll make sure,
It's the 17th is the next.
June 17th? All right. And it's at 10 a.m.,
Oh, no, Tuesday, sorry, the 18th.
18th.
Yep, sorry.
And what I'll do is on the back of here, I'll just, I'll give you
Can I
my,
still sit and,
Of course.
oh, absolutely, absolutely,
came here for the whole thing,
yeah.
We wish more would come and sit and listen.
we can make that happen.
Do you have any questions for the board in regards to the vacancy and what, what's involved?
I watched 4 videos on YouTube. I watched,
I was wondering who that person was that watched them.
oh, there's 56 counts, there's a few. I made a video, I thought I embarrassed myself, it wasn't so bad. I watched the one when hemp came to town. I watched the woman that wanted to fill the chair from March. I watched some of another video, there were 2 fellas on it. I kind of felt that better information needed to be presented when those people came representing hemp. I've been a hemp guy since 2005, a little earlier than that. One of my sites, I made a hemp emporium site, and one of my old clients has a hemp business online. I know a little about hemp. I know about how it grows and all that. And I was kind of an evangelist for it because I like the clothing made out of it. I like all that. There was information on it. I didn't feel like you were getting all the information you needed to make decisions, but I think that was just the first exploratory one. I didn't know. I didn't check that further, and I don't know what came after that. What struck me was Dudley wants hemp in the town, and I thought that's a real good use of land space. I really did, because you can grow it like that, and it makes everything that we need to be made, even foodstuffs. You guys gave the floor or the visitors everything they needed to present their case, and I like that. It's another reason I'm sitting here. I went to other meetings before. I think there was more opportunity here because the way that you want information, I think, is real open here on this committee. I think you guys have a tough job ahead of you. I think the committee, I didn't read the 5-year plan. I didn't go through it. I saw maps. I saw a few things. And I think there's a real tough road ahead for this committee.
Yeah, I think that the big challenge is to get people to think a little different. The hemp initiative was done because, right, the federal government made it a normal agricultural commodity.
Sure.
All right, state of Mass still has plenty of regs, but out of the 6 applicants for licenses in Worcester County, 2 of them are from Dudley. One of them's already been approved. First hemp license, or first farmer cultivated in almost 100 years. U.S. government thinks it's going to be a $22 billion industry. Now, some of the farmers want nothing to do with hemp, and that's good. All we wanted to do as a committee was to open their eyes to, as the world changes, what opportunities or crops of opportunity. There's grapes still that need to be explored, and vineyards and things along those lines. But now there's an agricultural commission that's going to spearhead that. All right. The next thing that is we have the Recreation Commission, but we have mill redevelopment projects, water sewer issues, and the only way those are going to be done is sometimes the Economic Development Committee just has to kind of act as the squeaky wheel to just keep it in people's attentions, because there's so much going on in town that it can kind of get pushed to the side. And I think you would definitely be an asset in helping keep
Well,
this
what
on
I
top of
see is
mind.
pragmatism. I don't see dogma, which you typically kind of see. Committees in local government, small governments like Dudley, you see a lot of dogma. I don't see that. I see pragmatism.
I think Mark said, there's no agendas here. It's,
The agenda is the benefit of the
yes,
town,
exactly.
and everybody wins. And that's kind of like my mantra, everybody wins. Everybody wins, everybody wins. You can't get better than that.
Yeah,
So that with pragmatism, I know the uphill battle and all that, but people are gonna come around. People have been coming around because you've made progress.
Hopefully.
hopefully,
Been some.
exactly.
We've
Yeah.
got a new guy sitting here, recognized it. There's some, and people see it.
Great.
All right, so then we will have you on the agenda for June 18th, 10 a.m.
Thank you for extending
Oh,
that
no.
invitation to me.
And I'll give you this. So if you want to just shoot me over the resume, and then when I forward it, I'll copy
thank
you so that you have the email addresses of the members here as well.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Very welcome. All right, next on the agenda is the town video update.
I think that's over in my ballpark then. I have a meeting, unfortunately, between our last meeting and today was the end of a semester graduation. And so I actually have a meeting on Thursday with Rob to ask him about fast forwarding the project with the banker piece and then outlining some things for the summer. So Thursday, I'll even do an email update to people. Just had to let the semester end, so.
Yep, I understand. All right. Anybody have anything else to add on the video?
Nope.
Complete streets. Why don't we combine that with your town planner update?
Okay. I went to the, to the workshop last week on the process, Get Complete Streets. Very good, very thorough applications. Everybody wants to look at it. It's thick.
And just a reminder, what the Complete Streets program is, that's the program where it's the whole sidewalks being complete to accommodate pedestrians, bicycles, strollers, cars, right?
Meeting's over, I'll make copies of this for you. It's a very
Okay.
good, so very good quick summary. Complete Streets is one that provides safe and accessible options for all travel modes, people walking, biking, driving, and people taking transit. Complete Streets improvements may be large scale, if there's a corridor-wide improvement, or small scale, focused on one or more modes, such as adding a crosswalk or bus shelter. That's good, it's a really good summary.
Yeah.
But one thing that I found I wasn't expecting, we can't use the Complete Streets program to do work on town highways.
West Main Street is not town.
A part of it is, from
It is a
the
town
town
highway.
line, from the town line up to about,
State,
It's a state?
from the town line up to about, halfway between here and town, and then, Dippin' Donuts or so, is town jurisdiction. Same with Schofield Avenue, from the intersection at the light, pardon my voice. The intersection at the light to a little bit past Brandon Street, probably about up to, if you know where Valley Plaza is, about halfway up through that plaza. So those are under the town jurisdiction, but the rest of them aren't. So we're gonna have to look at something else. And I've talked to people at CMRPC a little bit, they're getting back to me, maybe we can meet with the transportation group on that and see what we can come up with, but there's still a lot of work we can do in town streets, we can do a lot of work, in those sections.
so we had talked, so it looks like West Main Street is gonna have to be off until we can get something maybe in a transportation bill funded by Mass Highway to actually invest the money in that.
Looking that way, the biggest part of it,
All right,
we do have still an opportunity to go from the bridge up to about, is it halfway between here and Dippin' Donuts? There's a sign out there, I can check on that.
so in the past, we had talked about providing an access from Nichols to the Park and Shop Plaza.
It's still
That would
local
still be
roads.
viable.
It's local, yeah, sure.
Mill Street from Dippin' to the school, that would still be viable, right? Because that's not state.
Right.
And what about the worst part? Did you say the intersection of where Dippin' is covered?
Yes.
All right,
I talked to the highway superintendent this morning. He told me that it's covered up to about halfway between here and Dippin'. There's actually a sign on the street that says State Highway begins here or something like that.
all right. So I got to look at that.
Same in Schofield Ave.
All right, because that little intersection is terrible.
It is.
So if we can get that, so we gotta really figure out, because it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 750,000 that we're eligible for now.
I believe it was, yeah.
And I don't know how many sidewalks. Do you have any idea what 750,000 covers as far as footage or miles of sidewalk?
They should be per foot,
Depends,
right?
depends on a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah,
Cost per square foot, per square yard, the cost of building materials that particular year, you know, there's a lot of factors
Yeah.
involved.
all right.
Does it have to be a union job?
Most stuff, Massachusetts has a prevailing wage law.
It's state funds, yes.
All right, well, there's good news and bad news built into that, but maybe the good news is 5 years from now, we'll get on a transportation bill and get them to fix the whole West Main Street corridor. I- The transportation, has most of the requests been put in this year? My understanding was that because the state's bringing in so much revenue right now, that they might actually be expanding that. Have you heard anything from Peter or Ryan?
You mean the traffic improvement program, the TIP, sort of thing?
No, I think they're gonna do a transportation bond bill and do a whole bunch of big projects. It might be,
Sure on that one.
yeah, I don't know. Okay, we'll do some homework on that. What we want are sidewalks that people can use.
Don't give it up yet. Don't have all the information, just something that came up.
All
I
right.
just wanted to-
I appreciate it. Now, did you end up going to Greenfield for that one? When you did your seminar on that?
Yeah,
A little bit of a haul.
I'll say. Wonder when the road's gonna end. You know, there. And then we'll trip like that in a while.
All right, so what else do you have?
Well, I don't really have much more on the other two things you mentioned,
Okay.
and then it's last week, last month, because, we haven't heard,
Yeah,
waiting here on the block grant, we're still waiting here on that MVP grant. And, we'll see.
all right. All right, does anybody have anything else, any new business or open discussion?
Just wanted to see if you had any further discussion or update on the mill development or water. I mean, water sewer, I'm looking, it's probably gonna take
Yeah.
some time, right? I mean, that's kind of the long lead time. So is it all wrapped up in that?
No, as a matter of fact, I got a text message this morning from one of the Fall River developers. Actually came to Dudley yesterday and took a look at the wind project behind the Webster Town Hall, you know, looked at the mill. Here's our issue. The owner of the mill isn't calling anybody back. The town has brought suit against him for the housing court because the building is starting to deteriorate and there's a number of fire hazards and parts that are collapsing. The owner of record still appears to be the individual in New Hampshire. Why he doesn't call back? You have 3 developers that have an interest in this. You would think he'd be all over it.
Yeah, move it.
So this developer from Fall River, once the court date is set, he's actually going to go to the hearing so that he can actually talk to the owner live. He has that much interest in it.
Right.
My understanding is they were paid up on taxes and now have again fallen in the rears on taxes. So Greg is doing what he can, the town administrator, to push it and pursue it. It's just mind-boggling,
Right.
mind-boggling. You would think,
Yeah, you
You have
think,
3?
get it off my back, right?
so.
Okay.
So that's the mill update. Water and sewer, they got funding yesterday at the town meeting to do, there's a 3rd pump station, I think it's the number 3 pump station, that has pretty good capacity. So they got the funds to drill deeper, to see if they could get some more water as well. So they're really stepping up to the plate here and trying to solve the immediate issue, but then also long-term, they're looking to see what other pieces are available.
Okay.
All right?
There's good progress on that. You know,
Yeah,
in my opinion, I mean, looking at what we were up against and kind of the progress that's been made, it's making leaps forward on getting a solution, you know, and I think there'll be a solution there by the time something shakes out on these mills.
yeah,
Right? I mean, it's looking very good.
yeah. And, you know, we're fortunate that we have 3 developers that
Right.
have a genuine interest
Right.
in doing this. And who would have ever thought that the owner of the property?
To be the guy dragging his feet. Right?
Exactly.
Right, right.
And so, who knows? The only thing that I have to add under new business is my term expires on June 30th. My 3 years is up. Yeah. And I've informed the Board of Selectmen that I will not seek, nor will I accept reappointment to the committee.
Come on.
Yeah.
I'll say, we're gonna vote on that. Yeah, do I hear a motion?
So
No.
moved, but you,
Yeah, no.
but you,
I think it's,
I
I think,
respect your, what you said.
yeah, I mean, I like that flexibility to do what I want to do as a private citizen, and to be able to help those, and not have to, you know, fill out conflict or ethics forms or whatever it is, and there's something to be said for being a private citizen, and people know me, and I kind of do my own thing, and I fight my own battles. There's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'm going to continue to stay involved as a private citizen, helping some of the farmers out, you know, getting to where they need to go. I told Water and Sewer, I'll help them when the Mass Works grant comes out. I'll help them actually do a grant application. But I think the next phase for the Economic Development Committee, I think it could really go to those next steps with new leadership here on the board, you know, and, you know, having a new chairman and new members, knowing what the 5-year plan is and what the goals are. I mean, that's, you know, change brings opportunity and new thoughts. So I just wanted to advise the board that.
Well, you've created, in the short time that I've been here, you've instilled a lot of leadership in the group, for sure. You've spearheaded a lot of events on your own. Nothing's on your own, but anyway, certainly full of energy, and, you know, I for one are appreciative of, you know, what you've done. Just to get the farm piece and, you know, get it beyond just being on the table is just fantastic. Speaking of tireless, you know, that's the opinion I have of you when I think of you, for sure. So, I mean, when you get something that you know, want to take and build on, you don't quit until it's done. So, you're a real asset to the town, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mark.
Absolutely.
Here, here. Yeah.
Well, I always kind of believe in that little Nike slogan, just do it. Seek forgiveness, not permission. You might offend, you might offend some people along the way, but in the end,
How long have you been involved in town committees and other things?
I go back to the late 90s, you know, planning board, and then there was different committees, but,
Right.
you know, it's one of those things, I go where the wind blows. And people will see me and I'll disappear for a couple of years, and then I'll come back like a hurricane, and then I'll go. You know, it's wherever the spirit moves,
Yeah.
so. But, you know, I think you got tremendous talent on the board, and I think, again, under new leadership, you can take the board to new and better levels as well, so,
We'll do our best,
yep.
you know, that's for sure.
So is there anything else that anybody would like to add? Open discussion, new business? All right, seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, Mark's made the motion.
Second.
Be second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Fred, thanks for filming.